I was molested as a child for as long as I remember by a female nanny. And for many years, she made me, like she compelled me to give her oral sex anytime my parents were not at home. I have siblings, but before I had younger ones, or even after I had younger ones, I remember, she always did that, like call me to the room and send my other younger siblings out to play and force me to give her oral sex. I didn't like it, and then all the attempts I made to report, she would threaten me, I'm going to kill you, or even if I'm not there physically to see what you're doing, you will die. She would say those kind of things to me. So I did it for as long as I remember. And then when I was 6 years old, I remember about December of 1989, we're in the room playing as usual. And that very Saturday morning, I remember my mom was around. She stepped out to make her hair and she called me to the room to do the usual. And I told her no. I had a different level of confidence that day because my mom was actually in town. So I told her I was going to report her. Nothing was going to stop me from reporting her that day. And I didn't know that I knew she saw my seriousness with that comment. So she quickly, rushed to, she boiled water and she poured that water on me, and I remember her telling me, talk about it, remember you will die, or I'll kill you, even if I'm not there, you will die. So she burned me with that water. I was screaming, of course. I was wearing a fitted Kampala dress when we were running around, and she did that to me. And once I was in so much pain, once my mom came, because they called her attention, once she came and asked what happened, she just quickly said, it was an accident. She was holding a bowl of water and I was coming towards her and we hit each other. But that was not what happened. It was all in the threats, and I also couldn't say the truth because I knew the pains I was going through at that moment. So I lost out of school for 1 year because of that bonds I suffered, but I couldn't say the truth. I grew up in that fear. Even when she left, she was still visiting us from time to time, but at that point she knew that I was stronger and couldn't also talk about it. And she also knew I didn't report her because nobody asked her anything. So I had other incidences of molestation in school, primary school, by a school typist. I was in primary 4. He called me to his office and asked me to raise my dress. And I didn't know why he wanted me to do that. I refused, and he pulled me, closer to him and put his hand in my pants. Thank God he didn't go too far. But I asked him why he did that, and he just said he wanted to check if I had pubic hairs, that I was so cute. He wanted to know if I was mature enough. And good enough, I quickly reported to my class teacher because she was so fond of me. And she took up the matter and she reported to the headmistress at that time. And that man lost his job that very day because the woman was concerned how many children he would have abused sexually. So he asked him to leave, even though he denied. And they asked him, this child knows nothing about sex, so she wouldn't just wake up and say this thing. So I've encountered several, forms of abuse, and then I was raped in the university. Apart from sexual harassment from lecturers, I got raped. But before the rape actually happened, I had encountered different threats from cultists in school, even at gunpoint, like telling me, take off your clothes, I want to have your body. And there was one particular guy who confronted me. I went across to buy food, just local booker on the campus, and on my way back in the evening, he pulled me to his car. I didn't even know someone was stalking me, and to the car right there, he asked me to take off my clothes. He wanted to have me. I told him I wasn't ready because I was afraid. Everybody knew about this particular young man in school. In fact, he was rusticated and later expelled. So at that time, he didn't have the right to enter the campus because of his activities. And so he insisted I took off my clothes and he was going to have me right there. I told him I wasn't ready. I was scared, so I was trying to negotiate. But I discovered that negotiating with him didn't help me. He said he was struggling with me and threatening me. So he said he was going to force me if I didn't cooperate with him, and he had something that was going to humble me. So I got scared. I became very, very scared. So he brought out a gun from under his seat, his car seat, and put it on me, like pointed it at me, asking me to take off my clothes. So I told him I was a virgin, and I also felt that would maybe make him excuse me from that particular incident, but he said it's even better, so he said I should take off my clothes. He didn't care whether I was a virgin or not. He was going to be good to me. So I was afraid, and even though I had fears within me, I still told him that, look, I knew how serious it was, and when I saw that weapon, it even made me tremble more. So I told him, you know what, you're going to shoot me and have my body. I don't, what's life even about right now? Because I had several issues of sexual harassment from my lecturers. My GPA had dropped, so I knew that I wasn't going to graduate with a good grade. So I was already depressed at the time and didn't care if I was going to lose my life. I was also worried about what my father would say about my bad results, how I was going to justify that I wasn't reading, so all of those things. So at that point, I told him to shoot me and have the body. When I'm dead, you can have the body. So he got scared when I said that, and he just said, he asked me who I was dating, if I was dating a cultist, maybe his rival or something. I told him I wasn't dating anyone, but at this point, I have too many problems, and I didn't care if I was going to die. So he let me go. He let me go because he knew that I was ready for anything. So, and that didn't happen, and he also wasn't the person who raped me eventually. My 300 level, I met this doctor when after a surgery. I went for appendectomy, and after the surgery, I met this doctor who kept following up with me in school, checking me up, But I kind of trusted him because his older brother is friends with my father. So like his older brother is more like family friends with me. So when I knew that, okay, he was somehow close, his brother was close to the family, it just made me trust him, kind of. But he had his own motives that I didn't know. And he came to school one evening to tell me he was going to take me to his house to check me up after the surgery. I was happy because I was operated in a government hospital, and I know how the crowd could be every time. So I was really, really happy that I didn't have to go and sit down at the hospital for so long. So I trusted him, I followed him, and I felt he was driving to the hospital. But he didn't go to the hospital, he drove to his house. And when we were off route, I still asked questions. Why? I thought you were going to the hospital. And he's like, no, I have a gift for you, actually at home. That's why I'm also going to the house. And so he drove to his house, and when he drove to the house, once we entered, he locked the door to his living room and asked me to sit down. So I sat in the living room. But I got worried because he removed the keys once he locked the door. So I asked him why he removed the keys to the door, and he said he shared the flat with his brother. So he didn't want his brother to come knocking. That's what they do every time. Anybody who comes first actually lock the door and remove the keys, the next person can have access. So I was relaxed. He went into the bedroom and then opened his door and asked me to come in. But then I was like, I thought he could actually do it here. I was wearing a dress, so he was just to raise my dress and actually check that part. He said yes, but like I said, I don't live here alone, so it wouldn't be nice if I'm examining and someone comes into the house and sees you. So I think you should just come in, since I don't use the flat alone. So I followed him to his room, and once I entered his room, the first thing he did was to lock his door. So I was not okay. At that point, I was jittery, I was terrified. I thought of everything because I had several rape attempts before that day, but I also trusted that, his job as a professional will not even allow him to do that kind of thing. I was naive, I was younger, so I didn't even imagine he would do that kind of thing to me. And he already had it planned in his mind, because I remember that Once he locked his door and removed the keys, there was nothing I could do. As much as I was by the door, I couldn't open it. And trying to force the door open still didn't help me. He grabbed me and pushed me to his bed. So there was a mattress on the floor, and I struggled with him. I was wearing a dress because yes, and the jeans would give me issues even at that point. So once he pushed me, I knew I was in trouble. I knew that I was in for another struggle with this young man, and it wasn't what he actually promised he was going to do. So I still sold the virgin story to him, like, I've not done this before and I'm not ready right now. He said, don't worry, I'll be gentle. I said, no, I'm not ready. And we struggled, because I also didn't want to give him like that. As much as there was not much I could do and I wasn't completely healthy, I didn't have too much strength to fight because I was also in pains from that point. So we like struggled until he had his way, and I knew that I was in trouble. Once he was done, he just said, you were sweet, and it didn't go down well with me. At first, I didn't even want to believe it happened. Yes, I felt pains and all of that when he did whatever he did. I saw blood stains on his rug because his rug was carton brown, so I saw blood stains because I kept struggling. So at every point we struggled, but he just kept forcing himself like that. He didn't enjoy it as far as I'm concerned because it was forced, or maybe he did, maybe he's used to raping girls, but that was what he did. And my dress, I was wearing a baby pink dress, I can't forget, and my dress was all messed up with blood stains. So, but I was afraid, I had mixed feelings, and I also tried to deceive myself that maybe my period showed up while he was struggling with me. But then I also remembered his comments and the pains and everything. And once he was done, he just got dressed and just said, I'm on call, I need to get back to the hospital. So I was devastated, and it was like this was all he wanted, so I couldn't also go back to school because it wasn't dark, it was about between 5-6 p.m. So I couldn't go back to school because my dress was stained and I didn't even know what to think. It's not like now that we have enlightenment about menstruation rights and all of that. So a girl who is stained is like they shame you for that. So I just sat outside of his house on his veranda, and I was waiting for it to get a bit dark so that I could walk into school without anybody noticing that my dress was stained. So I went back to school. I was crying, and once I got to school, I was stained, okay, so I knew I was not my period. So my roommate called me, and she knew I was depressed. I didn't go to lectures for 2 weeks. And she knew something was wrong with me. She knew I wasn't sick, but she just knew that there was something bothering me. Everybody kept asking me, why are you not going to school? What is wrong with you? So she kept pestering me, so that kind of pushed me to open up to her. So I agreed to step out of the room. We had to have a conversation outside, and I told her what happened. I told her that this doctor that had been coming around raped me, and I was crying when I told her. But she took it very, she made jest of me, and she started laughing, and she said, you mean you just had sex for the first time? I said, I didn't have sex, he forced me. I wasn't ready for it. I was in a relationship. I had a boyfriend that would write each other letters, and I remember telling him that I was a virgin and I was going to wait for him, and we were going to have that moment together when the time was right. And so to have someone steal that from me, it wasn't funny. It was devastating, it was traumatizing. But I also couldn't share with anyone else when I saw her reaction. Like, okay, so did you like it? I said, no, he forced me, don't you understand? I'm not ready for this. And he never came to look for me again after that incident. So it just showed that was all he was out for. And shortly after that, He came once to look for me, sorry, to tell me that he was getting married and that he was sorry for what happened. He didn't know I was a virgin and he didn't believe my story when I said I had never had sex before, but that he was sorry and I should please forgive him because he didn't want, maybe he felt if I had any information about his wedding, maybe I was going to go there and act some drama or anything. But so that was just all he did at that time. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't tell my mom, I couldn't tell my dad, I couldn't tell anyone else because I had my fears. And one of my fears was the fact that it didn't happen at the hospital, it didn't happen in school, it happened all the way in his house. So I was worried about what anybody would think if I said it happened in his house. And so I kept it to myself. I was hurting all the while. My self-esteem crashed. I lost my confidence and I just felt very, very worthless because that was not what I wanted. That was not the time I wanted to lose my virginity. And the approach, I didn't get consoled from him. He didn't care. That was just all he was out for. So that was very, very traumatizing for me. And I didn't talk about it until I was 32. And that made me very vulnerable. It made me kind of loose because I felt worthless. So I just needed comfort. I just wanted someone to console me. I just wanted a safe space. So I was in and out of several relationships because I was vulnerable, like I said. All I wanted to hear was, I love you. I just wanted to be sure that someone would still accept me even though I wasn't a virgin, because traditionally, from where I come from, every girl was supposed to marry as a virgin, and my mother made it very clear to us early. So we grew up with that mentality that, oh, you need to marry as a virgin, because if you don't get married as a virgin, XYZ will happen on a traditional marriage day and you will be exposed. So that kind of gave us some sense of protection and dignity, let me so to say. So it wasn't funny. I couldn't even tell my older sister because I knew she married as a virgin. So all of that, I just didn't also find her worthy to share with her. Yes. So yes, I would say I became loose. That made me very loose because I wanted a safe space. I wanted someone to hold me and say it's okay. But I also still couldn't share it with even the guys I dated afterwards. And so yeah, so that part affected my choices, it affected my decision in almost everything. I knew that I was known to be very aggressive, and at some point guys were even wondering if I was a lesbian, but it was also a way of protecting myself. I was just defending nothing. Even when there was no case, I just found myself on the defensive every time. So that wasn't good enough. It wasn't nice, and I didn't seek counseling. I didn't seek any care afterwards. I just managed it through alone by myself. And so I ended up in an abusive marriage because all I wanted to know was I could still get married anyways, even if I wasn't a virgin, with that thing that was planted in me early enough. So when this young man came and all he sang to me was marriage, I was like, okay, so it could still happen, so I didn't look out for any signs of abuse or anything really. I think it was all about the physical. Oh, this guy is great, he's tall, he's handsome, and I didn't even want to pay attention to the fact that he didn't care, because he actually showed all of those signs that he didn't care, but I didn't listen. So we got married in 2013, January, and I got pregnant before my wedding because there were several rumors that I had series of abortion and I wasn't going to be able to have children. So that got to his ears, and so I did that to prove to him that, look, I'm fertile, I still have my womb intact, and it's still part of low self-esteem because I don't think I really owed anybody that much. That's why I said that all these incidences of abuse affected decisions that I made and choices as well. So yes, so we got married. I got pregnant before the marriage and finally got married, but I didn't have it smooth right from the day I even got married. We had several issues, not to mention and also not to bore you, but it ended up in physical, abuse. And domestic violence is not just the physical. There's the mental part of it, financial part of it, emotional. So I went through all of that in marriage. And I having, after we had a baby, you tell me things like, you're so big, those stretch marks on you are disgusting, so all of those things were already affecting me and killing my self-esteem at the time. And I had very nasty experiences. I had him come home to tell me, I ran into your ex-boyfriend, how sure am I you're not going to sleep with him? I had instances of him telling me, you're cheating on me. He also had his insecurities, maybe based on what he heard, that some were true, some were not true, but it kind of affected our relationship. He didn't want to look at me for who I was at the time I was with him. He just kept using past stories, untrue and true, to judge me. So it really, really affected us, and he would insult me for everything. You say things like I charmed him to marry me, doesn't know how I ended up with a whore, he ended up with a you say those kind of things to me. So he didn't have regards for me. He cheated on me with my friends, with people that I knew. So all those things were destroying me emotionally. I had all those challenges. To talk of financial, issues between us. He wouldn't want to spend money on the child or me after we got married. Even when I lost my job, it didn't make sense to him, didn't care if I had something to do or not. He would actually say things to me like, you can actually go out and sleep with anybody you want to and make this money. I'm not going to give you my money. You can sleep around. Your mates are doing this way, so some of them have big men that they have something to do with, so you can as well help yourself. So for me, those words were not kind, they were not nice, that you're married to someone, not even in a relationship, you're married to someone and he tells you those kind of things, so I lost my self-esteem. And I remember I made it very clear to him before we got married that if he ever hits me, I will never be with you. So that day he came back, he would always hang out, he was a drug user, so he abused alcohol, Indian hemp, whatever. Like I said, I didn't look out for all of those things. All I wanted to know was to be sure that I could still be married after losing my virginity. So I looked out for wrong things. And yes, and I remember he came back that day 2:30 a.m. after all the emotional, mental, abuse of every kind, and I was upset. Where are you coming from? As usual, he would always sleep, or sometimes he come back 7 a.m. And he didn't really care about anything. He didn't care about how I felt too, about the fact that he was sleeping out. So I confronted him that night because I had bottled, enough. Tried to see how peace will reign, but it wasn't working. I was hurting my feelings, so I busted out in anger that day. Once I told him, I confronted him, where are you coming from? Where did you go? You said you were going to barber shop and you're coming back by 2:30 a.m. It doesn't make sense to me. Every day you come to announce different girls to me that you're having something to do with. That's disrespectful. If you don't want the marriage anymore, just let's talk about it and end it. Don't treat me in this way. Tell me that it's over so that I will know that it's over. We can just tell my parents. We don't need to gather everybody the way we gather people when we're getting married, but we can just make it formal by informing them that this whole thing is over. So because I was all aggressive and I was angry and I challenged him, he hit me. And once he hit me, reflex, and I didn't expect it, so I tried to also hit him back, and that was how we got into that fight. And he beat me so hard that day, and I was so scared. He didn't just beat me, that day. I remember he sat down on me, and once he sat on me, after all the punches, he held me on my neck. He strangled me. And while he did that, I know he just kept saying that I will kill you. I will kill you today, so that there will not be any trace that I ever met you. There will not be any trace of you in my life anymore. So I struggled, and I didn't know when I peed in my nightie. And I just said to him, I just remember saying that if you kill me, our son will kill you when he's grown. And so he let me go. So immediately he let me go, or the first thing I did, I picked up my phone and I called my mom. It was already like 3 a.m. I called my mom, and once I reached out to her, I said, Mommy, my mom could hear his voice at the background, how he was insulting me. You're a bitch, you're a cheap whore, saying all those things to me. I don't know how I ended up with you. Abusive words. So I called my mom and I told her that this is what my husband was doing to me. That I just got up, he strangled me, he's beating me up actually, and he strangled me, and my nightie is soaked. I peed on myself and I didn't know when I peed. So I'm calling her because I want her to know that if anything happens to me, there was no accident. He actually physically killed me. So that because it was just me and him and my son was barely 6 months old when this happened, so he wouldn't even remember anything. And even if he had flashes, he was asleep. It was late and he couldn't say anything. So I told my mom because I wanted a witness. When we were leaving, it was an estate, so everybody was like mind your business kind of environment. So no matter how hard I screamed, nobody came to my aid that night. So yes, my mom just said, there's another room in your house, it's not just one room. I think you should just take your baby and move to the next room and lock yourself up so that you're safe and nothing more happens to you tonight, because I don't want to hear more stories.